Ukrainian officials say 20,000 civilians in private vehicles have left the besieged city of Mariupol on an evacuation route. The situation in the port city has been growing increasingly dire, with food and water in danger of running out. More than 3 million Ukrainians have now fled the fighting, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the war's impact on civilians is reaching terrifying proportions. Meanwhile, as some escape the war zone in Ukraine, others volunteer to help within it. Multiple volunteer evacuation organizations that were formed to help in Afghanistan following the U.S. withdrawal and Taliban takeover there are now expanding their operations to help Ukrainian refugees. And joining us now to tell us more about these efforts made by his own nonprofit is Lieutenant Colonel Perry Blackburn, retired U.S. Army officer and Green Beret and founder of AFG Free. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit more about AFG, sir, or AFG Free, sir, and why it was formed and the work it has already done in Afghanistan.
So AFGFree.org was formed exactly for that, to help the folks in Afghanistan that we partnered with for so many years, our allies, our American citizens, and our lawful permanent residents that needed to get out. So we banded together in these networks and were able to do a lot of good work early on in getting people out of Afghanistan in August, September. After that, we had to pivot our operation to more of a sustainment operation. And we've been able to give food drops, really good, nutritious food to folks in Afghanistan, resettle them within Afghanistan to keep them out of harm's way, and move them on to other places so that they can then go have a pathway to citizenship somewhere else. And that's what we've been doing in Afghanistan. So it was really easy because of our networks that we established to then look into the Ukraine and start helping the people in Ukraine doing the exact same things, except our mechanisms were a little bit different because the borders are open for Ukraine where they're closed for Afghanistan.
So where are your workers currently situated within Ukraine? Tell us a little bit more about your organization's efforts in the country.
So how this starts again is our network is able to have touch points throughout the country of Afghanistan. These are folks that we have known for a long time. And we reached out to them, they reached out to us, and that expanded our network in Ukraine. And then from there, we set up mechanisms for assisted recovery to bring people out of Ukraine and also to get resources and supplies into Ukraine, which is most of our work right now is getting supplies into Ukraine. We just recently got about 6,200 IBA, which is individual body armor, into the Ukraine for them to use. And that was a heavy lift on our side because of all the contacts we had to make in order to get it to the user in Ukraine without being disrupted.
Some very important work there, sir. So what kind of landscape did your team have to navigate in Ukraine to help evacuate these refugees and get this equipment within the country?
So I like to say that AFG Free operates globally because we do, and that's the landscape. In Ukraine specifically, what we look at is working in the shadows, in the crawl spaces. Where can we go to make sure that the folks that we are helping are safe, and also that we're able to get the supplies to the people that need it without being disrupted or commandeered by another faction or the Russians who would also need the same thing, supplies that we're giving. So we operate very, very close in the shadow areas of Ukraine, and we work globally to assist in supplying that effort.
That sounds like a very delicate operation, sir. Just about a minute left here, but are there any lessons that your team has learned from your mission in Afghanistan that you're using right now in Ukraine?
Sure, money. I hate to say it, this all works with money. We're all private funded. We're not big NGOs. And matter of fact, that's why we're doing more, bigger, better things than the NGOs, is because we do have that network and we're working in that area. What we learned real quick is you got to get money to the people for humanitarian aid. And we've been able to do that. We've been able to resource sending money to Ukraine, resource sending money to Afghanistan to help the efforts and help the people, the real humanitarian effort that it takes. And we're doing it with all kinds of people globally. And that's what's important. It's people like you, Nima, reporters that are helping us. There's people on the ground that don't have a job any longer. And we've been able to employ them in this to be able to get the resources to the people that need it.
Some very important work there. Thank you again for joining us today, Lieutenant Colonel Blackburn. We really appreciate your time and all the work that you're doing.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.